She came home to find her parking spot taken. The spot she'd spent 2 hours digging out of 15 inches of snow. Her neighbor's car sat exactly where hers had been that morning. Like the work had never happened. Like her time meant nothing. So she made a choice. She parked directly behind him. Blocked him in completely. Then she went inside, turned off her phone, and didn't think about it again until morning. By then, the damage was already done. He'd missed something important. And now everyone in the building knew her name. This isn't a story about parking. It's about what happens when someone takes something you've earned, and you're forced to decide how much your effort is actually worth. It's about the invisible line between standing up for yourself and going too far. And it's about the moment you realize that being right doesn't always protect you from being wrong. She'd lived in the building for 6 years. A small apartment complex with shared parking, the kind where everyone knows which spot belongs to who, even though technically nothing's assigned. For all those years, snow had never been an issue. The previous landlord plowed within hours of any storm. Life was predictable, routine, easy. Then the building sold last spring. The new landlord had different priorities. When the first major snowstorm of the season hit, dropping 15 inches overnight, no plow came. Not that morning, not the next day. The parking lot became a frozen wasteland, cars buried under white mounds that hardened with each passing hour. She didn't even own a shovel. She'd never needed one. But watching the snow turn to ice, knowing her car would be trapped for days, she walked to the hardware store and bought one. Then she got to work. 2 hours. That's how long it took. Digging out her car. Carving a path wide enough to pull out. Her shoulders burned. Her hands went numb even through gloves. But when she finished, there it was. A clean spot. A clear exit route. Proof that effort still mattered. She ran her errands. Grocery store. Post office. Normal Saturday tasks. The kind of day where you don't expect anything to change. When she pulled back into the lot an hour later, her spot was gone. A silver sedan sat exactly where her car had been. Not in an empty space nearby. Not in one of the other still-buried spots. In hers. The one she'd dug out with her own hands, the path she'd cleared, also being used by the same car. She sat there, engine running, staring at the vehicle. There was no note, no apology, no acknowledgement that someone had just taken 2 hours of her life and decided it belonged to them. She recognized the car. Second floor. A guy who'd moved in a few months ago. They'd never spoken. The anger came fast. Not loud, not explosive, just cold, clear. The kind of anger that makes decisions easy. She parked directly behind him, bumper to bumper, blocked him in completely. Then she walked inside, turned off her phone, and went to bed. Here's what she learned the next morning. He'd had somewhere to be. Something time-sensitive. Something that apparently mattered more than the 2 hours she'd spent in the cold. He'd knocked on doors, called her phone, eventually called the landlord who didn't answer because it was Sunday. He'd missed whatever he needed to get to. And now he was angry, not embarrassed, not apologetic for taking her spot. Angry that she'd inconvenienced him. Other neighbors got involved. Some agreed with her. The spot was hers, morally if not legally. He'd been selfish, lazy. He deserved the consequence. Others called her petty, vindictive, said she'd taken it too far, that blocking someone in overnight was cruel, regardless of what they'd done. But here's the thing no one wanted to say out loud. He thought his time was worth more than hers. He saw her work and decided it was available to him. When that choice backfired, suddenly she was the problem. Suddenly her response was what mattered, not his action. The rule had shifted mid-game. He could take. She couldn't respond. By Monday, the landlord finally plowed. The physical problem disappeared. But something else had calcified in its place. She'd become the woman who blocked the guy in. He'd become the guy who missed his thing because of a parking spot. The story had escaped them both. She didn't regret it. Not exactly. But she also couldn't undo it. couldn't make people unsee her as someone who chose revenge over communication, couldn't erase the fact that she'd known exactly what she was doing when she turned off her phone. That's the moment that matters, not the parking. The choice to make sure he suffered a consequence, even if she didn't know what that consequence would be. She'd wanted him to feel what she felt, and he did. And now everyone was watching to see what kind of person that made her. They don't speak now. They pass each other in the hallway and look away. Other neighbors have started choosing sides, the way people do when a story gets too big to ignore. Some have started shoveling extra spaces, just in case. A new tension has entered the building, the kind where small kindnesses feel political. She still parks in the same spot. So does he when it's available, but now there's a weight to it, a history. The landlord sent an email about parking etiquette. It solved nothing. What's gone isn't just civility. It's the assumption that people will do the right thing when no one's making them. That effort will be respected. That fairness exists without enforcement. She proved it doesn't, and so did he. This story isn't about snow. It's about the invisible contract we expect others to honor. The belief that if you work for something, it's yours. That people will see your effort and respect it. But what happens when they don't? When someone looks at what you've built and decides it's theirs to take? You have two choices. Let it go and teach them that your boundaries don't matter. Or respond and risk becoming the villain in someone else's story. She chose the second option, and now she's learning what that costs. Because standing up for yourself always sounds righteous until you see what it actually looks like. Until you're the one people whisper about. Until you realize that being justified and being right aren't always the same thing. So here's what you have to decide. Was she wrong to block him in? Or was he wrong first, and her response was just the consequence he earned? If someone takes what you worked for, do you have the right to make them regret it? Even if you don't know what you're taking from them in return? And when does protecting your boundaries cross the line into punishment? Where do you draw that line? Because she drew hers. And now she's living on the other side of it.